Is your child tired, cranky, and irritable? Could iron deficiency anemia be to blame, or are they just being children? Iron deficiency is one of the most common deficiencies that I see in my clinic. Stick with me as I share 10 signs and symptoms when it comes to looking for iron deficiency anemia in your child, and why popping them on an iron supplement may not be the solution. Hi, I'm Sammy, clinical nutritionist, stepping right out of my clinic onto your screen. Iron is one of the many minerals that our body needs, particularly for our children's brain development and body development. To understand these 10 signs and symptoms, we first need to know exactly what iron deficiency anemia is. Anemia simply means that the body does not have enough healthy red blood cells circulating in the body. That being said, there are a number of ways that the body will stop producing healthy red blood cells. And one of those ways is through iron deficiency, one of the most common types of anemia. I like to think of the circulatory system as a delivery surface. And those red blood cells are the teeny tiny little transport trucks getting all those nutrients from our head all the way down to our toes. Inside our red blood cells is something called hemoglobin, and this is a protein that carries oxygen all through our body. When the oxygen arrives at those tissues, into those cells, it is used for things like growth, repair, and making energy. Iron's role in that delivery service is to make hemoglobin. And without enough iron coming into the body, there's no need to make lots of red blood cells. There's no point in making the vehicles without the drivers. And as a result, we end up with iron deficiency anemia. Stick with me as I share the 10 signs and symptoms that I see in my clinic when it comes to looking for iron deficiency anemia in your child. And some of them may surprise you. A quick disclaimer, this is general advice based on my own clinical experience and case studies. We are all unique, and it is highly recommended that you seek individual advice for your child. The most common symptom of iron deficiency anemia is pallor. Hemoglobin is what makes red blood cells red. And without iron making hemoglobin, we see paler skin, particularly in the face, the palms, and the palm creases. A good way to check is to press down on your child's nail bed and to see how long it takes for the pinkness to come back. Another way you can check, other than the nail beds, is to pull your child's eyelid down without causing discomfort and see if it's quite white on the other side of this lid, the conjunctiva, and see if it is quite white. The second sign that I notice in a lot of children is them being very moody and irritable. Now, I get it, I'm a mom, kids can be moody and irritable, whether they're hungry, tired, or whatever it may be. But if your kid is constantly moody and irritable, it could be a sign of iron deficiency anemia. As I mentioned before, iron is involved in brain development, and it also plays a role in production of neurotransmitters. And these are your chemical messengers like GABA, serotonin, and dopamine, for example. The happy, calm, and motivated chemicals. Teachers may see things in the classrooms like short attention span and just a general lack of interest. If you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is my kid, there are many reasons why our children act out in the classroom. It may not be iron deficiency. The third thing that I see in children is they become very, very tired and weak.
And I don't mean kid tired.
I mean
exhausted and run down.
Kind of like the mothers that I get in my clinic. They're crying more than usual. They're falling asleep in unusual places. They're taking naps during the day when they don't normally take naps. Oxygen is needed to make energy and to help move our muscles. Low iron, hemoglobin not being made, oxygen not being transported, weak muscles, tired. The fourth thing that I see in my clinic when it comes to kids with iron deficiency anemia is cognitive issues. And often I don't hear from the parents about this until they correct the iron deficiency and they get comments from their school teachers saying that their grades have improved. If your kid is really struggling with school and you're ticking boxes for all the other iron deficiency, this could be linked to that. They're forgetting things all the time. They're unable to concentrate in class. Everything seems to be processing at a very slow rate. Their developing brains can't keep up. Because remember, our brain uses up the most energy in the body. And when we're running programs all day long, it can be draining. Low energy, low cognitive function. Happy and alert kids in the classroom is what we want. The fifth one that some parents are noticing is stunted growth. A lot of this comes down to the first 5 years of life. If you do find your child is behind in the growth charts, it could come down to iron deficiency, particularly chronic anemic iron deficiency. Number 6 is poor appetite and poor weight gain. There is research out there that those with iron deficiency anemia have lower levels of a hormone called ghrelin, and this hormone is the appetite hormone. Low iron stores have been linked with a depletion in this particular hormone. And when our kids have a low appetite, it's really hard to get food into them, and that then results in poor weight gain. But this is not always the case. Every child is different, and they will present with different signs and symptoms. Number 7 is cold hands and feet. All of the oxygenated blood that is running through the body is going to favor those vital organs. And unfortunately, it's not going to make its way out to your child's hands and feet as much as the internal organs. The hands and feet are going to feel a bit cold, and they also may feel a bit tingly. Number 8 is restless leg syndrome. As mentioned before, low iron can lead to a depletion in the neurotransmitter dopamine. And low dopamine can trigger something called restless leg syndrome. This is often experienced at night when our dopamine levels naturally start to decrease. They will have a constant urge to wriggle and move and kick their legs. They could say it feels a little bit like a crawling, creepy crawling sensation on their legs, and just a constant need to shake to relieve any discomfort. It does not mean your child has restless leg syndrome if your child does move around a lot. I have 2 boys. Just before bed is the time that they like to move around, dance, and wiggle, and it drives me crazy. Number 9. Frequent infections. Again, if iron deficiency is left untreated for a long period of time, oxygen in particular, as well as iron, play a big role in your child's immune system. Without these key nutrients, a child can become more susceptible to illness and infections. There's a lack of fuel going to the cells that help to make your child's defense system against bacteria and viruses. If the information I have provided you so far has been helpful, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you would like to see more videos. Number 10, this one is an eating disorder called pica, where your child starts to eat things that are not actually food. Things like clay, dirt, ice, paper. This is a sign of malnutrition. So if you find your child constantly craving ice cubes, it could be a sign. Or you could be living in hot Queensland in the summer and your kids are just dehydrated. I know my kids do that. There's never any ice in my freezer. If you've watched this video and you're ticking them off in your head thinking, oh my goodness, I think my child has iron deficiency, you're probably thinking, I'll just give them iron. That'll fix it. Why it is important, particularly if your child is severely iron deficient, to get those iron levels up with a supplement. What I am seeing in my clinic is doctors prescribing iron tablets and not getting to the core issue as to why your child may be iron deficient in the first place. It is important to find out whether it is actually a nutritional deficiency or your kid is having issues absorbing those nutrients. Simply taking an iron tablet long-term isn't getting to the core problem of what's going on. And it can actually lead to things like constipation and zinc deficiency, which can then lead to fussy eaters. And yes, if your child is taking iron and their levels have come back up, that is great. But the problem I am seeing is that children then come off the iron a few months later and their levels drop back down straight away. So now that you know what iron deficiency anemia is, as well as the signs and symptoms to look out for in your child, check out my next video where we take a look at some of the causes behind why your child may be iron deficient.